I'd be curious, what does the pre-awakened Andrew look like? Because everyone out there, they're trying to get
It's not a pretty picture.
they're trying to get the kids to school. What the fuck are you two? They're like, shut up, you two fucking windbags. I'm trying to give you some fuck. But will you first talk about what you evolved into this? You've been at this for decades. Talk a little bit about your journey so people see. It's a process like fitness. You don't go to the gym once, or in the movies you get struck by lightning because they only have 90 minutes. But it's a process.
I'm really glad that you raised that because a lot of the people, well, there aren't that many, but sometimes, the people that we hear about waking up spiritually have had a kind of an experience, as it were, out of the blue. Sometimes it's quite a dramatic experience, and they say, in this moment or in this hour of experience, this radical transformation took place in my consciousness. And a lot of people look at a spiritual awakening, spiritual enlightenment, as this search for this sudden, to use your words, this sudden lightning bolt that's going to enlighten me and radically change who I am and change my life and all the rest of it. But this was certainly not my experience, and I don't think it's going to be the experience of most people. And this is why I wrote the book, because I'm 65, 66 this month, and all my adult life I've been looking. I've sensed, since my late teens, that there's something more subtle, but at the same time more real about life than what seems to be going on the surface, something deeper in me than what I'm able to access somehow or to clearly sense. There's more to life than what we usually talk about and think about and live out. I knew it, and I looked both in terms of, you asked me about my background. Well, it kind of, where there were these two aspects. My personal life, it had lots of ups and downs, lots of frustrations, lots of relationship difficulties, and from time to time, job change difficulties, and financial difficulties, and emotional ups and downs. So all the time I was looking to get on track and get in harmony with the universe, as it were, in my personal self, my personal being, my personal experience of life. And at the same time, in my professional life, I left high school and went to college to study school teaching. I've worked in actually lots of other jobs as well, but most of my professional life, my working life, has been in the field of education. And in that field, I was also looking deeper below the surface. I didn't feel that the schooling system made sense right from the outset. And I was digging deeper and eventually studied very deeply into educational theory and what actually is the nature of learning and this knowledge that we so much take for granted as what's most valuable to get hold of to make a successful life. What's the nature of human intelligence? And the more I looked into it, the more I realized that the things we commonly assume about these things are completely false. There's so much that indicates, if we really look for it, how our schooling system and our assumptions about relying on our mind and relying on what I think I know about who I am and about the world around me and what people are like and all these things, they're all just mental constructions deeply influenced by our conditioned patterns of perception, influenced by our various experiences and by our fears and our goals and all these sorts of things. So, in this dual path of my personal life and my working life, looking to find out what's real about life and about human nature and human potential and human consciousness, and how can it be accessed and brought to blossom. And so it was a long path, and I wrote this book and wanted to get that word simple in the title because I finally got to the point where I realized how it all fits together. And when it all came together, I finally realized, man, it's actually not complicated at all. And that's why I wrote the book, to help any of your listeners and anybody out there, who's sees it as not just an instantaneous thing that I can flick a switch and suddenly be spiritually awake. Well, how does it work? How does it fit together? How do the pieces of the puzzle come together in a way that I can have this experience for myself? And even though I've said about, for most people, and for me personally, this experience of waking up spiritually is not like a lightning bolt. It's not a moment, just something that happens in a moment. At the same time, I do show and lead people to experience through the book that they can actually experience the essence of who they are as this peace-filled, observing presence beyond the mind in a few seconds. It's not like it suddenly overwhelms them and they never ever, are troubled by a thought or a feeling or an emotion or a perception again. But it is a process. It's actually simple. When you see how it works, people can actually use these little tools that I provide in the book to come back very quickly to the essence of who they are in any particular moment that they put their attention on wanting to do that.